This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. Rutland Radio on Monday morning, I'm Rob Pisani. So we had the Shop Till You Drop trail around Stamford over the last month. Now you will find knitted sheep in some shops in Stamford. To tell us more, Reverend Andy File of Stamford Methodist Church. This is primarily actually a fun thing before Christmas, and also a charitable fundraiser as well for a few different charities, isn't it?
Absolutely right, Rob, yeah. It's an idea of Lucy Moore, who enabled the Messy Church thing, which is going on around churches all around the country, but the Messy Nativity Trail, but ours is just sheep. So look out in the shops of Stamford for sheep.
How many are there?
Oh, there's 23 in and out of the shops here and there, and if you want to go around looking for them, you'll see a little label in the shops that have got one to say, there's a sheep here somewhere, come and find me.
The idea is that children, I guess, primarily go along.
Children, families, or those who are young at heart. Anyone can do it, it's great fun.
Complete the sheep trail and then hand that in to the church.
Absolutely right. By the 19th of December, pop it in the church's letterbox on Barn Hill. Then you can come along to the service the next morning at 10:30, nativity service, at the end of which we're going to auction off all the woolly sheep that have been around the shops for our church charities.
So is it free to actually enter the trail?
Absolutely free, yes. All you need is the entry form, which you can get from me by emailing. Go on the church website and you'll see how to do that.
That's Stamford Methodist Church and Reverend Andy File. Thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. And we look out for the sheep. There's 23 sheep in various different shops in Stamford, and you've got till the 19th of December to spot them all.
Thank you, Rob.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Thank you very much for turning out this evening on quite a miserable evening, but very pleased to see you all. Obviously this evening we've had to curtail the arrangements because the band and the choir couldn't turn up because of the adverse conditions. But anyway, we'll go ahead with it. Can I thank Councillor Adam Lowe for a start, who's made all the arrangements for this evening and also been instrumental in arranging the lights this year, especially Adam and his wife Julie. Anyway, I'm very pleased this evening to switch the lights on. I always think this is the start of the Christmas festivities, and got a special arrangements with the gentleman up the ladder there. Before I do that, can I also remind you not to forget the late night shopping event, which is a week on Monday, when obviously the lights will all be on by then. This evening's just a treat. And also the town council's carol concert at the church on the 17th of December. So I think enough's enough, and we'll get the lights on. So can we now have the lights on? Yeah.
This is Rutland Radio.
Till You Drop draw. Morning, Sarah from Ketton. How are you?
Good morning. Very well, thank you.
I made the Shop Till You Drop draw, as I was just saying, 8:15 this morning. Any ideas who won?
I could take an educated guess, but I'd rather you said.
You entered, didn't you?
I did indeed.
You have won £500 to spend in Stamford before Christmas. How great is that?
Whoopie-doo, that's fantastic. That's made my day.
That's £50 to spend at Greensleeves, Baubles and Bangles, Stamford Music Shop, Anvils, Robinson's, Seaweed, Denham's, Java-Waki, Mole Country Stores and Nelson's as well. You're our Shop Till You Drop winner. Well done. Have a lovely day.
Oh my goodness, thank you very much.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Hello.
Hello, Marie. It's Rob from Rutland Radio.
Hello.
Guess who's won the Bryan Adams tickets on the first day?
No
Yes.
way.
Yes.
I
Worth
love
over £100 a pair of tickets.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful time. Have you
I
seen
will
him
do.
before?
I did. I saw him when he opened the Rico Arena at Coventry about 11 or 12 years ago.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, I can well imagine.
Highlights from the past 7 days. The Rutland Radio podcast.
Hello.
Hello, June. It's Rob from Rutland Radio.
Oh, hello, Rob.
You told me earlier about this Christmas decoration you've had for years. Tell us the story about that.
Right. My mother and father bought it for our first Christmas tree. I was the first child, and it's been passed on to me. And I am just over 69 years old, and they bought it for the Christmas after I was born.
How lovely. And tell us what it is exactly.
Right. It's a little doll, And I've always loved it. And unfortunately, when my mother and father died, we were going through everything, and I thought, I would love to keep that. So my other brothers and my sister said I could, so that's how it's ended up on my Christmas tree. But it's a little doll. It's about 4 inches tall, and it has a crocheted cloak on it, a blue crocheted cloak, and it looks old, but it's very precious.
And is it on the tree yet, or on display yet, or is this a bit early?
No, it's not on display yet, but it will be. Goes on every year.
This is Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. We've been mentioning a lot about the Rutland Toy Appeal, which is Voluntary Action Rutland Space. Richard Orcello is there from VAR and joins me this morning. Now, we've only got a couple of weeks to collect for this. How's it been going so far then?
We've been working with the community, raising awareness about the project. We've got a deadline of the 11th of December to get as many gifts in for a whole spectrum of people.
We talked a lot about on the radio about teenagers because, teenagers are difficult to buy for, but, everyone appreciates a gift, particularly if they're not going to get anything from anyone else.
That's right. There's lots of people within the community less fortunate than ourselves, and this year we're trying to cater for everyone.
So literally from babies through to the elderly. I know you're working with Age UK as well.
That's correct. We're working alongside social services, Age UK. There's lots of other distribution points within the community. We're trying to provide for as many people as we can.
So how many do you know that will receive a gift if all goes to plan then?
There's 200 gifts that have got to go out to people within the community that need a little bit extra help at Christmas.
So what sort of things should people actually donate to you? We talked about them being new or, boxed still. You need to be able to see what it is as well, so it's not wrapped.
That's right. We can't have gifts that are already wrapped because we need to see that they're appropriate. And, there's nothing that you wouldn't give to somebody as a gift. We have received things in the past that aren't appropriate, and we need to make sure that they can go out to the right people. So from babies all the way through to pensioners, something that somebody's had a bit of thought thinking about them at Christmas.
So how do you decide who gets what then?
It's very nice. People can actually come in and they can have a look and say, that would be right for so-and-so. This is why we don't wrap anything up. So it's very much a case of they can come in and see what's right for that person.
So these are people who work with those who are in need?
That's right. People from social services, the care workers, befrienders from Age UK, the whole support team that goes out for people within the community, they will come, find the gifts right for the people and then distribute as we need them. That's why everything needs to be in by the 11th of December. So
have you any ideas, or is there anything you can kind of say, well, actually, we need a bit more of that or a bit less of that?
At the minute, until we start receiving all these gifts in, we don't know what we've got. We've had it in the past where we've had very kind donations from people and we've gone out last minute and brought gifts specifically for a certain age group.
So these are donations of money that people are actually giving you as well?
That's right. Kevin O'Brien, a gas fitter from Oakham, has been collecting for VAR for several years now, and he continues to support us and much appreciate that. He's still running it, and last year he gave a load of money out of his own pocket to provide gifts for people.
How lovely is that? So if you would like to provide a gift for anyone in need, you say you want about 200 gifts, so anything and everything that you think would be a kind of, general thing for someone to appreciate receiving.
That's right.
If you would like to donate, VAR is open on weekdays. What time is it open, Richard?
For 8 o'clock in the morning until 5:30 in the evening.
That's on Land's End Way in Oakham, and as Richard mentioned, Kevin O'Brien as well in Oakham on Jail Street, also collecting gifts at the moment, but they need everything in by the 11th of December.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Hello, Steve.
All right, how are you?
Yes, all right, thank you. Rob from Rutland Radio here, as you've no doubt just recognised, and you've won tickets to see Bryan Adams at the Embankment Peterborough next August.
Thank you very much.
Have you seen him before?
No, I haven't, no.
Excellent. Well, have a wonderful night. And what was the answer to the question then? Which Spice Girl duetted with Bryan Adams on When You Gone?
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
It's Rutland Radio, the Uppingham Fat Stock Show. Rob Wagstaff is here next. I'm Rob Pisani, and I actually have the honour of turning on the Uppingham Christmas lights tomorrow evening at 6:15. I'm here with the chairman of the Fat Stock Show, that's Charlie Mason. And what a wonderful day for it. Actually, someone was saying to me earlier, the mildest that they've known, certainly, since they've been coming.
Yeah, we've been very lucky, certainly in the last few years. We've more often than not had a nice, dry, bright day, but it's usually been very cold. But we are looking that originally the show was going to be last Wednesday, because we're dictated by Melton Mowbray. We have to be the week before them, because we don't sell cattle here, and people show here, then go to Melton to show the cattle. But Melton moved back a week, for reasons best known to themselves, and the Smithfield show came forward a week. So we, in order to avoid clashing with Smithfield, came back to the 2nd of December, and the show always originally used to be first Thursday in December when I was a youngster. And so we've hit it really well with the weather. The only thing we have done by moving to this date is to clash with Newark show, but, you know, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. We did clash with Smithfield last week.
It's so difficult, isn't it? To find a day.
And our cattle entries are down a little bit. But so we have a record entry of sheep and a pretty near record entry of pigs as well. And this new line of pig pens, which Matthew, the dividers were donated by Matthew Allen last year. We've now got new backs, and the pigs are more secure, and the public can see them better.
Yeah, it's such a lovely day, isn't it? And actually, you know, there's a lot of local farmers, you know, a lot of faces that I know who are here today. But I imagine people do travel for this as well.
Yeah, people travel quite a long way, because when I was sort of little chap in the 60s, most of the people that showed here were from within a 15-20 mile radius. And Welland Valley was full of sheep and cattle, which is why we've got cups for the best beast shown from the Uppian Postal District. But we've had people come now in the last few years from as far away as Milton Keynes, Spalding. It's really an open show now.
So the judges are making their decisions. The prize is going to be awarded from 11:30, and then it's off to the Falcon.
Well, it's hopefully 11:30, but we have started a bit late today because of the number of sheep that are in. Yeah, the presentations take place around 11:30 in front of the Falcon, and then we sell the sheep and pigs. And following that, the marketplace is cleared, and around about 2:15, 2:30, there'll be approximately 200 of us sitting down at the Falcon for a meal.
Isn't it just the most wonderful tradition? You know, we said it so many times that this is the oldest show in the whole country that's in temporary pens anywhere.
Well, certainly up until last year, I think we rightfully claimed that we were the only show in the country still held in temporary penning in a town marketplace. But last year, Winslow in Buckinghamshire, their market closed. They moved to I can't remember the name of the place. That closed, and they actually managed to negotiate with the council and everything to run a show in their marketplace as well. But this one certainly has been going. It was revived in 1949 by Peter Scott and people like that. I think the weekly market in Uppian was held here in the marketplace. Pens of sheep down the high street in front of the Crown Hotel, and then down the station road where the station was there. And I think the actual market, the weekly market, finished around 1936, and then the war came and control and everything was placed from the station market pens by the government ministry graders. And then after the war, a group of people got together and kick the show off again. So there's no market in Uppian, hasn't been a market since 1936. And the show is run by a group of volunteers, it's not run by a firm of auctioneers, so it isn't tied to a weekly market. And there have been several markets. Sadly, Oakham and Stamford, I worked in both of those markets, Grantham, where the markets have closed, the shows have stopped. But because we're not tied to a market, it's a once a year job. Hopefully we will continue for a long time to come.
Really good to hear some of the history as well. Charlie Mason from the Uppian Fatstow Show Committee. Thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. I'll let you get back to it. I know it's a very busy time for you, obviously, but I do appreciate your time here on Rutland Radio this morning.
Thank you very much for coming and giving us the air.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Hello?
Hello, is that Paul Taylor's house?
It is, yeah.
It's Rob from Rutland Radio. He's just won a pair of tickets to see Bryan Adams at the Embankment in August next year.
Has he? Oh,
yes.
Brilliant.
Well done, him.
I didn't even know he'd entered.
Well, there you go. Obviously, for answering the phone, I think we know who he's going to take. Would that be right?
Yes, I did see him about 20 years ago, so I might see a slight difference.
This is Bryan Adams as opposed to Paul.
Bryan
You see him a
Adams,
bit
yes.
more often.
Just a little, I'm afraid, yeah.
Who's on the line there?
Angie, his wife.
This is Rutland Radio.
David Scarborough.
And tell us your entry here in the Fat Stock Show today.
I entered 2 beasts in the show today, 1 steer and 1 heifer. We took a second place with the heifer and the first place with the steer, and went on to win the championship with the steer.
Fabulous, well done. Tell us, what this show means to the farming community in this area. Have you travelled far to be here today?
Yeah, we've come from just in South Lincolnshire, just south of Grantham, in South Lincolnshire.
Whereabouts?
Great Ponton.
Oh, right, yeah.
Side of the A1, yeah. I've never shown here before. I've viewed it before. I've been and had a look, and I had some friends show here. And I thought that I would have a go this time. I'd got 2 beasts that I felt was fit to bring. They were nice and quiet, which they need to be in such a surroundings as we have here. So I thought I'd come along, and if people don't enter, then the show won't be here any longer, will it? So
such an unusual thing, isn't it, in the temporary pens in the marketplace here?
It's brilliant to see it, isn't it? And so many people as well viewing. I think it's fantastic.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
What would you like to say to everyone here?
It's been a fantastic opportunity for me to turn on these lights. So thank everyone and have a good Christmas. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Look at the tree behind you. The lights are on in Stanton.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Okay, the moment is here. I walk on a stage and it's all very dark. There is a reason for that, because any moment now we'll be switching on the Uppingham Christmas lights. The bells from St Peter and St Paul's Church at the back there. This tree was donated, as always, by Uppingham Fat Stock Show and the committee. They put it up a week last Saturday. Fantastic Fat Stock Show in Uppingham. Were you here, actually, in the square yesterday? All those pens, all those sheep, all those cattle that were here. Okay, this is your moment now. Let me climb to the top and let me say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There they are! It's Christmas in Uppingham!
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Welcome back to Rutland Radio. Now, you're not in the Ruttles.
Oh, I wish I was.
Yeah, but they're still going.
They are still going. It came as a great surprise to me, Rob, to be honest about it. I was reading a newspaper 3.5 years ago, saw an advert for the Ruttles, thought, that's impossible, they don't exist. Like everybody else that saw Rutland Weekend Television, Eric Idle, Neil Innes put this group together as a sort of tribute, I suppose, to the Beatles in a funny sort of way. They made 1 record, it was a massive hit. They then went on to make an album and a film called All You Need Is Cash. That was back in the mid-70s, and I was a huge fan. I bought the album. Being a big Beatles fan, it was like having a new Beatles album for me. It was very exciting, and it was very tongue-in-cheek, but the music was fantastic. For every Beatles song, there is a sort of rip-off Ruttles song, if you like. But I bought the tickets, went along, and sure enough, it was the Ruttles. Neil Innes was at the front, and John, whose second name escapes me, but known as Barry Wom, within the Ruttles, was playing on the drums, and a couple of the guys had changed. Eric Idle wasn't in the band, because he never was. He was only a figure in the TV show on Rutland Weekend Television, but he was never a musician. But he did appear as Paul McCartney within the film. Anyway, went to see them, and they were absolutely fantastic. I was so impressed. But I went to see them again the next year, and then I went to see them the year after. And then on the 4th occasion I saw them, sort of got to not know them, but sort of chatted with them a few times and asked how it all works. And they said, well, we sort of live all over the world. We've got guys from California in the band, and we've got a couple from England. We tour every 18 months or so. I spoke to their tour manager, and he said, well, if you want to book the band, you can. And I almost fell over. I thought, well, this is not possible, you know. So I did just that. A friend of mine owns a hotel with a venue in Corby called The Raven. It's the Raven Hotel, and the Raven Hall is next to it. They recently refurbished it, and it just struck me as a perfect venue for the Ruttles. Spoke to the guy that owns it. Lo and behold, in 1978, he used to own a different pub in Corby, and he put on the Ruttles film, All You Need Is Cash, on big screen TV, and I had over 200 people there to come and see a film on the telly. They're playing in, let me just get this right, Glasgow, Liverpool, Leeds, Manchester, London, Norwich, strange enough, a bit off the beaten track, and Corby. It's just quite unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and as near as we could get to Rutland, really, on the 13th of December.
Absolutely. I mean, I told Neil Innes, I was from Rutland, and he was very excited by this. Obviously, this is where it all sort of started in their heads, I suppose. And as you say, Rutland Weekend Television, the smallest TV station in the country, it was billed as. Of course, it's very Python-esque. Of course, Neil Innes was classed as the seventh Python. I think he wrote a lot of their music for them, heavily involved with them. And so, obviously, very excited by all this. And he's excited too. He's excited to be coming back to the area.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
I set up a Facebook page called Here to Help Others nearly a year ago now. It all began with my friend collecting for the homeless. I got involved and it's quickly escalated to my house being taken over with clothes, toys, etc. What we're doing at the moment is shoeboxes for the homeless, which will contain everyday items, sanitary items, deodorant, shower gel, a little treat, and just things that we take for granted every day. We also collect clothes, furniture, anything really, but we do put shout-outs on my Facebook page what we need. We support locally, primarily. Voluntary Action Rutland, I took a carload over to Richard Orchello yesterday. Alternatives in Stamford. The various food banks, we collected 250 advent calendars this year, which covered Stamford, Deeping, Oakham, Bourne and Grantham. We also support NCT at Bourne, Stamford and Deeping, and OpSafe Streets in Peterborough. But I have managed to get a courier who will gladly take all of my items. I take them to the depot, they get couriered across the country. So we also help East Coast homeless, women's refuges across the country and homeless outreach organisations. And to date we've helped in Brighton, London, Birmingham, Grimsby and Peterborough.
All from Stamford?
All from Stamford, Grantham, Bourne and Oakham. The items come in their masses. So we're very, very fortunate that the people on Here to Help Others, which I think we're at 850 people at the moment. The Malcolm Sargent parents have obviously today helped us with shoeboxes, which I think we've got at least 40 from the collection today. Marcy May's obviously helped us with the shoeboxes, and I'm sure there will be more coming in the next week or so.
Do you need more of anything specifically at the moment?
We need warm jumpers, sleeping bags are like gold dust, and anything to put in a shoebox. So you can either contact me through my Facebook page, which is Here to Help Others, or my email address is mariepears28@hotmail.co.uk.
How many people are you helping? How much of a problem is it?
I think locally we are very fortunate. There are people on the streets in the area which aren't disclosed figures, but then you go out to sort of bigger cities and towns and obviously the problem is a lot worse. But we do have to appreciate that sometimes people do choose to live on the street because of previous experience, or it's just how they want to live. And I think if we can give a little bit of respect and dignity to those people by providing these little bits, which generally we've got hidden in the cupboard that aren't used or cost a very minimal amount, then it's just something we can give back, because one day it could be us in unfortunate circumstances. I mean, people like Voluntary Action Rutland, Alternative Stamford, even the food banks, they are when you're at your all-time low and at crisis point and there is no one else to help. So if we can help organisations who rely on donations, then brilliant.
So if you're on Facebook, Here to Help Others, and you'll find the group.
Yes.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Georgia, Logan, Harvey, Poppy, Daisy, Orla. We're here to help people that are homeless.
So how are you doing that then?
Well, we're doing it by Here to Help Others. It's like a website what's on my mum's face page, and people give us stuff, then other people sometimes take it, or we go out to the streets and give them to it. And we've got these shoe boxes what Orla's mum got us, over 50, and we've put in like man spray, perfume and like toothbrush and toothpaste and gloves. So we've been like really busy.
Orla, where did you get all these shoe boxes from then?
My mum's shoe shop.
And what's that?
Marcy May shoes.
So they have a lot of boxes left over when they sell the shoes?
Yeah.
What do you think about where all these presents are going? What sort of people will get them?
Homeless people.
What do you think it'd be like if you were homeless?
You'd have no food, you'd have to go hunting, and you wouldn't have any clothes to wear unless people had donated them to you.
So do you think that's a good thing to do for Christmas then?
Yes,
Why is that?
because it helps the homeless.
This is Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. As we've been mentioning, the Rutles are coming nearly back to Rutland for a gig this Sunday night. They're at the Raven at Corby, and the man that's been described by so many as the sixth member of Monty Python, the front man of the Rutles, joins me this morning. Neil Innes, thank you very much for sparing the time. I know you're on tour at the moment, aren't you?
Well, yeah, it's one of those things. The Rutles go on tour every now and again, but it's not a career move. It's because we love doing it. And all the stars collided in a certain way that we could all get out at this time of year, and we're sort of doing a kind of run around the country.
Now, the Rutles basically is the Rutland Beatles, is it not?
Well, that's right. Eric Idle from Monty Python first broached the idea of doing some television with him when we were doing Drury Lane in 1974. And BBC Two had sort of said, yeah, we like the idea. People in Rutland, I know to be defiant, and they will not be offended by saying, because it's the smallest county in England, the idea would be that they'd have the smallest television station, and therefore the cheapest budgets.
It's not unlike this radio station, really, but we won't go into that, yes.
So the BBC loved the idea of legitimately, as it were, making cheap television programmes. I was supposed to do musical things and come up with, the visuals for that, and Eric was off writing sketches. And we had one of our meetings, and I said, this is cheap. Let's do a spoof of A Hard Day's Night. It's black and white. It was a speeded up thing like Benny Hill. 4 guys in wigs and tight trousers running around a field. How cheap can you get? And he said, great. I've got an idea for a documentary maker who's so boring the camera runs away from him. So the two things were put together in one episode of Rutland Weekend Television. And then it got shown in America because the Beatles were being coaxed to get back together again, and it was a running gag. And anyway, it happened. I didn't think it was going to go any further than, Rutland Weekend Television, but it found itself with an NBC budget and telling the whole story, which became the film All You Need Is Cash.
And that film's going to be shown at Corby this Sunday night, and then the band is on. Tell us who's in the band.
Well, the two original Rutles, John Halsey and myself. John is Barry Warm and my character is Ron Nasty. But Ricky Fattar, who was also on screen, is busy drumming with Bonnie Raitt. Fabulous drummer, really lovely guy. But Eric was never involved with the music, so he won't be there. But what we have got, we've got two amazing guitarists. This rustling Ken Thornton, who plays like the original guitarist, Ollie Halsall. This is getting complicated. But as a guest, we have Elliot Randall, who is, a legend. He's Steely Dan's guitarist. Phil Jackson on keyboard and Jay Goodrich on bass. They're 30-somethings and they're just brilliant. And it seems that musicians know the Rutles, even if most of the public don't.
Well, certainly if you were around in the 70s, you remember Rutland Weekend Television, as you say, the film as well, All You Need Is Cash. And, actually the Rutles singles and albums were quite big successes as well.
Well, they were, but not on a kind of Adele level. In fact, when the film was shown on primetime American television, it got the lowest ratings ever. And I think it still holds the record.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no,
so
we're very proud of that. We're really proud of that.
Well, let's hope you get a full house at the Raven at Corby.
Well, they're very enthusiastic. They've done a wonderful poster and everything. We're really looking forward to it. It's for a charity as well.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's great. Because that suits what the Rutles have become. There's no comfort zone for us in the music business because we are a tribute band that do our own songs. You know what I mean? Are we real or not real? But playing the music is fun. And the people who come, they know all the words. And we're like little children in the sandpit, pretending we're just playing, superstars and fans all together. And you can't tell one from another.
The Ruttles this Sunday night at the Raven at Corby. Tickets are £20 and proceeds go to Youth Brass 2000. And Neil Innes, thank you very much for coming back to Rutland Radio again. This should almost be an honorary member of Rutland Radio, really, with the Rutland Weekend Television and Ruttles heritage.
Well, if you've got the things that need scissors, I'll be there.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
I'm Millie Ashton.
I'm William Fowler.
And how did this all come together? You've had a really busy week, haven't you?
We've been going into schools around Lincolnshire and also doing concerts and soirees. And it was all organised actually by Will, and we've been staying in his house, very kindly by his parents who have let us stay and cooked for us so that we have all the energy to do all of this.
Will, you live at Cawthorpe. Everyone else has kind of come from all over, have they?
Yeah, so I live in Cawthorpe near Bourne. Millie's come from southeast London. We have someone from Lithuania, someone from China, someone from Uzbekistan, so all over the world really, and that's what we do at Purcell School. We're kind of internationally renowned for having that aspect to it, and, you know, Britain's oldest specialist music school has come to Lincolnshire.
You've played all over the world yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Millie has. She's now leader of the National Youth Orchestra of Great Britain as well. So
leader?
Yeah, I'm the leader, yes.
Yeah, and you're in Stamford All Saints Church giving this free concert.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's just what it's all about, really. A lot of what we do in MYO as well is doing the same thing, going into schools and playing to them. It's what we enjoy, so playing music, well, you can play music anywhere, can't you?
So you went to Bourne Abbey and also Ednam as well?
Yeah, so we went to Ednam School on Thursday morning where we did a concert in the local village hall near there for them, and it was really nice to see. Actually, they were really kind of responsive and it was just interactive, great, and we did a huge concert for them. And then later on that day we went to Bourne Abbey Primary School where we did 3 workshops with some Year 6 people. And we did kind of rhythmic games and kind of singing round games and things like that. I think they were inspired, so that's what we hope. But yeah.
So you two, as well as the rest of the people here, how many people are here, you know, actually on the stage?
So 9 of us.
Yeah, there's a team of 9, yeah.
Yeah.
You're internationally renowned young musicians that are here.
Well,
maybe one day.
Yeah, well,
but you're well on the road to it.
If we keep on practicing.
So. If we keep on practicing, that's what we hope.
Who knows what can happen.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for joining us here on Rutland Radio, and very best of luck with today and also the rest of your musical journey, however long and wherever it may lead.
Thank you very much.
This is Rutland Radio.
Thank you, Steve. Well, there are over 800 Santas at Burley Park today. They're just enjoying their mulled wine and mince pies. I'm here with a couple of people from Team George. Your names are?
Linda Everson.
And?
Jill Robinson.
Now, as George's mum, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened to George, for anyone who doesn't know.
Well, George goes to Stanford School and was on a rugby tour to South Africa. He'd been to Joburg and Durban and was in Cape Town, and then during a match against DF Milan School, he had this injury, and straight away he knew that he'd done something. He couldn't feel anything. But the South Africa people were great. He was rushed straight into the Melimed Hospital in Cape Town, operated on within 2 hours, which is it's amazing. They make sure that there is an ambulance at every rugby match, whatever level, and operated by a brilliant surgeon. And he has a C4, C5 complete injury, which basically means that he has no sensation or movement below chest level, and he has transectioned his cord, which means that there is damage all the way across. However, George being George, he has movement below injury in his right arm and is able to lift his arm. And this week he's been driving a little wheelchair using his arm. So he's doing brilliantly. He's got a great attitude to life, and we focus on ability and what George can and will be able to do. He will have a brilliant life. It will just be different. And what everybody is doing, and the Team George has been so inspiring and positive, and Linda here has been the linchpin in it all. I'm so grateful for all the support. George is immensely moved by it, a little bit embarrassed by it, being an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. And being here, this is a great event. It's about fun and making the most out of your life, isn't it?
What's Team George about? We see the beanies, we see the T-shirts.
Okay,
well,
how
are you raising
we wanted to start something for George's friends so that they felt that they could be involved in
George's recuperation, really. So we just had a few hats, T-shirts printed, and it's just flown.
They're international now.
They
aren't
are. They are all around the world. Everyone has embraced it. It's just been amazing. And here today on the Santa Fun Run, there's lots of Team George hats, isn't there? And we're just encouraging everybody to keep sending in pictures with anywhere, wherever they are, to wear a hat, send a picture in, so we can keep the Facebook page alive, really, and keep raising money for Team George.
Where will the money go?
Well, we are deciding at this very moment what George needs first.
There's a wheelchair. George is a 6'2", 18-year-old who hasn't had his first legal pint yet, but there is a wheelchair that you can get that...
Tell me it's got a drinks holder in it.
But there's a wheelchair. The point of this,
yes,
I forget that. There's a wheelchair that actually can take George into a full standing position, and as a young lad, to be able to stand tall with his mates in a pub or wherever he is, is absolutely huge. So I think, if we can
and we hope
do
that he's here next.
Yeah, we were just
doing the Santa Fun Run.
There is a wheelchair that's sort of off-roader.
Yeah, need good tyres. There'll be a lot of cars stuck in this today. But
George used to win the Burley Run every year at the school, and I think it would be really great if he could actually come back.
Well, I'll be here next year. I hope to see him.
Yeah, no, you will.
Too,
yeah. So thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you for that.
It's the Stamford Santa Fun Run. If you listen to this on the way back, well done on your participation. And Steve, more from you.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
So this week is the big week where the Rutland Toy Appeal gets distributed. We're here at Voluntary Action Rutland. I'm here with Kevin O'Brien, who's been instrumental in the whole Toy Appeal, almost before Voluntary Action Rutland got involved. Would that be true?
Well, it is actually, because it was about 25 years ago I heard an advert, and they was asking for toys for children in Leicester, and I thought it'd be a good place for me to be able to collect toys for them. And then several years after doing it, the local volunteer bureau asked me if I could help them, so since then that's what we've done.
And it's been collecting at Jail Street, it's been collecting here at Voluntary Action Rutland. I know you've even donated money as well yourself to help those who need it.
Yeah, well, we sort of try and specify what we need, what we want, so people do bring money in, so we'll usually spend that. Like this year we've done it on sweets, and if anybody's noting for next year, I think we're a bit short on selection boxes and sweets. We could do with more of them next year.
What makes you continue to be involved? Because you never seem to get a spare moment either.
Well, I think it's expected of me because of where I am and everybody knows me. They just take it for granted. That's what I do, and I don't mind doing it. It's just giving a bit back. It's not all in life about taking, so I'm able to help others.
So where does this all go then?
There's quite a few families that people don't realise that need a lot of help in this area at Christmas. I certainly didn't know that the help was needed, but it's anonymous really. It wouldn't be fair to say where it's going, but it is all being used. And if there's bits left over, then it can go and help raise money in other causes throughout the year.
Kevin O'Brien, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. I really appreciate your support, your help, you spreading Christmas cheer and everything. Thank
Lovely.
you.
A Merry Christmas to everybody.
The weekly Rutland Radio Podcast.
Now, last time on Rutland Radio, you heard from Marie Pears. She was collecting shoeboxes from Malcolm Sargent School in Stamford. You got about 40 from the school, with all the rest of the things that are doing up till Christmas. How many shoeboxes now for the homeless in Peterborough, Grantham and...
I think we're up to about 160, but we will be continuing on with the wrapping process and making some more shoeboxes up. And anything then left over will be going into sort of like sweet cone styles. We handed out in Peterborough on Sunday, and we did a Christmas dinner for approximately 60 people. Amazing atmosphere, and Santa started doing some haircuts in the church, which was amazing.
Advent calendars as well you've been collecting?
Yeah, with Liz Richardson and Kay Musgrove. I think our total at the end was around 265, and that filtered out to Oakham, Bourne, Deepin, Stamford and Grantham.
And anything you need at the moment, or are you just kind of in the midst of distributing it?
I think the collection for Grantham has stopped because my lady there has just gone into hospital. Now that we've seen what Voluntary Action Rutland have got, I think they've got about enough now. So it's just going to be carrying on the work for sleeping bags, warm clothes, a little bit of a Christmas break and start again.
This is Rutland Radio.
Richard Orcello from Voluntary Action Rutland. We are in front of a selection of what's here because people have already been in, agencies have been in and actually picked out what they need. Just tell us some of the stuff that is actually in front of us here.
It's been absolutely unbelievable. The response from the public has been great this year with the help of Rutland Radio. Where do I start? Toiletries, soaps, deodorants, perfumes. And then we start moving into clothing that's been left, brand new clothes, sweets, dolls, you name it, we've got it. Nintendo DS, the games for Nintendo DS, DVDs, books, everything. It's wow.
So you got the stuff for teenagers I know you were particularly keen on.
Yes, we had a gap, especially for teenagers. What do you buy a teenager? And we've managed to fill the gaps. So, yeah, really good response.
What agencies have been involved here that you can talk about? Because it is confidential, obviously, those who need it.
We can't really give names of the people that they've gone to, but the agencies that are there, social services have been involved, Age UK have been involved, Visions have been involved. There's loads of different organisations that have come together and they're being distributed amongst the people that need them most.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I took over the direction of Woven Chords in April after Liz Underhill had retired. I was really looking forward to it because it's the biggest choir now that I lead, and there's, I think, currently about 74 members. I went to see what they did, and I went to see them live in Oakham, actually, and they had such a big sound, a really warm sound, and, you know, I thought, wow, this is going to be a really exciting opportunity, and I can do a lot with these voices. And so, I started with them in April, and we did a concert in June in the local area as well, raising money for an education trust in Malawi, and that was fantastic and sold out. And this is our second one together as me being leader, and this is at the Stamford Arts Centre. We're in our home where we rehearse, and so it'll be nice singing in the ballroom there. So they're a fab team of people. They're really up for. I brought in a lot of new changes and new ideas, and have given them a lot of challenges. They've done a lot of work on learning songs by memory, and they've learnt an awful lot of songs from around the world in varying languages completely by memory, which is a massive achievement.
Festive music, it's more than the traditional carols in that case. Woven Chords obviously very famous for the world music repertoire that they have.
Yeah, we've added to that this year. I've put some English carols and Christmas songs in there as well. So there is a real mix of things. We've got some songs in Polish and Spanish and Catalan and some really nice and interesting songs. So it's not going to be the same that you hear everywhere at Christmas time. There'll be a lot of different things that a lot of people don't know and will probably love when they hear. There's a gorgeous Samoan song called Fa Fetai that we do, which is probably one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. As soon as I heard Woven Chords do that, I thought, wow, this has got to stay in the set list. This is just beautiful.
Checked with Stamford Arts Centre, and there is the odd ticket available if you would like to go. It's 7:30 start tonight. It's £10 and £8 concessions. That's Woven Chords at Stamford Arts Centre. Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. I'm here at Gainsborough Court, Cottesmore, with Shirley Smith, who does an awful lot to help the residents here. Tell us about the Christmas door competition, how long you've been doing it.
Well, it's about 2 or 3 years now.
And I guess, really, with the fact that everyone here has their own room,
yeah.
It is like their front door, so they're decorating
door, yeah.
it like they would if they had their own home.
Yeah.
People really go to town as well, don't they?
And yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? It gives them something to do. Else, they're stuck in the one little flat, and it makes it Christmas for them.
So, in third place is door number 20.
That's you, Doris.
In second place is door number 17.
17? That's Pam.
And the winner of the Gainsborough Court Cottesmore Christmas door competition is number 7.
That's Gail.
And the winner, what a wonderful display that Gail's done.
Gail's done.
You've got the whole snow scene, you've got penguins, and then the door tinsel as well.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Can I talk to you and ask you where you've just been? Yeah?
To Santa's grotto.
And how was it?
Good.
Yeah? What did you ask him?
Where's Dasher?
Where's Dasher?
Yeah.
The reindeer?
Yeah.
I imagine Dasher's probably just eating a lot of food, getting ready for the big trip. When does that happen then? Do you know when the presents are delivered?
In Santa Way.
Yeah? What day do the presents get delivered?
Christmas Eve. We sort of in there, in that door.
What's it like in Santa's grotto then?
We've got presents.
What's it look like?
We've got a Christmas tree in there. It's massive.
Is it really?
We've got our stockings up and calendars in our home.
So what do you have to put out on Christmas Eve then?
Santa come in.
Yeah? And do you have to put out any food or anything like that?
Pie and milk. And a carrot for Rudolph.
Well, have a lovely Christmas. Has that made it all more magical, having seen Santa?
Yeah, what's that like?
Well, you're going to open it in a minute, aren't you?
Oh, I think there's a bike in there.
You think there's a bike in there?
Yeah.
I don't think it's big enough for a bike, to be honest.
No,
Unless you have to add
he's
water
gonna
to it.
shrink it. He's
Oh.
gonna shrink it and then make it bigger when...
They do, don't they? That's true.
Santa's gonna make it little and it can go on sleigh.
Yeah, well, how else? Because you've got all the presents for everyone on it. So if they were all full size, he'd never fit them on, would he?
Santa's not gonna fit any children in here.
No, that's very true. Can I just ask your names?
Toby, Evan, Caitlin.
Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for joining us on the radio. Have a lovely time.
Hello.
Here he is.
How are we all?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? You
I'm
look-
very well. I'm very well. I've just been saying hello to all the boys and girls and see what they want for Christmas. So I've got a big list, Rob, that I've got to take back and give to Chief Elf of the workshop so he can load the sleigh.
It's a complicated thing, isn't it? One of the children I was just speaking to, we don't want to give away any of the secrets because of the magic that you actually do, but he said that you actually shrink the toys so you can fit so many on.
What I do, you see, Rob, if there's lots of toys, and obviously I've got to do the whole world, I've got to go around the whole world and give every boy and girl a present. So sometimes there's not enough room on the sleigh, so got some very special magic powder that I can shrink things, even myself. If it's a very small chimney, you see, I've got to go down, and then I got some other powder that can make them big again. So that's what I do. So I make sure I get everybody's present on my sleigh in one night.
What have been the presents lots of children have asked for this year?
Oh, well, there have been Sylvanian toys, and there's been lots of Lego.
The Sylvanian families are back.
Sylvanian families are back, but it's mainly Lego, and it's the Star Wars Lego that I've got to get. It's all these Star Wars with a Millennium Falcon. Somebody wants some lightsabers and everything like that. But Lego is the big one, and of course, there's still the Frozen things with Elsa and Anna and Olaf and Sven and all that lot. So I've got to get all those back on the sleigh as well this year.
Have you managed to fix those hoverboards? Or will they not be ready in time, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I had a word with Chief Elf, because when I left this morning, they were round the back of the reindeer pen just testing them. So me and Mrs. Christmas, we won't really know until we get back whether they're safe or not and whether we can put them on the sleigh. So leave that one with us because we're still testing, because we want to make sure that everyone is safe for every boy and girl, you see.
I know you've been busy touring the area as well as being in the grotto. So what should children really think about on Christmas Eve? What would help you?
Well, what would help me, you see, Rob, is if everybody has maybe an early night, and first of all, they've got to be asleep before I can come in. And what they do is they've got to dream and fall asleep of all the presents I'm going to bring them. And when I pop round, I like to think that every child is going to be very happy, because to me, Rob, that is my present. As long as I can make every child happy that I'm delivering a present, that suits me down to the ground. And to see their little faces, their mum and dad's in the morning, that would just make my year. In fact, it does, you see. That's why I do it all.
Should they be putting anything out for the reindeer? Because they get hungry, don't they?
You see, they get a bit peckish and everything, and some of the reindeer, you see, they like carrots. Some like this oats with this sparkly glitter in, and it makes them go faster, Rob, which means I can get round quicker and I can have my full English breakfast a bit earlier. But, you know, carrots are usually the norm for them, and some water so they can have a drink while I'm inside putting the presents out.
Father Christmas, it's so wonderful to see you once again spreading the magic of Christmas. Who else would we have on Rutland Radio this close to the big day?
Well, I don't know. Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I'm still coming back to see boys and girls just to find out at the last moment what I need to put on the sleigh for them. But I'm having a lovely time, and I love this time of year. And I tell you what, Rob, looking forward to holiday on Boxing Day.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I'm Jane Juice. I'm one of the supervisors for the food bank.
We're getting so near to Christmas, and you're still working really hard here.
Yes, we have. Just had a large family turn up at the last minute, but it's lovely to be able to help them.
What sort of things are you putting together?
In the hampers, Christmas extras. A lovely tin of ham, crackers, Christmas pudding, mince pies, biscuits, chocolates, just all the nice little extras for people. cranberry sauce, stuffing.
And these are all being distributed within the county somewhere?
Yes, they are. All within Rutland, yes, that's right.
People see the wealth in Rutland. It's quite easy to see, isn't it? But it's not all like that.
It isn't all like that, and it's quite a surprise to some people that there are needy people. We've just got a large family in now who are really grateful for the help. They really need it.
What makes you and the volunteers do what you do and spare the time and, so many hours a week that you actually are in here?
Just big hearts.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for doing it.
You're welcome.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
My name's Karen Parker and I'm the director.
Cinderella with Stamford Pantomime Players opens on the 28th. This is the last rehearsal before Christmas that we're at here. It's all very much taking shape. How long do you work on this for?
Well, they audition in June and then we start rehearsals in September. And the chorus and dancers rehearse every Friday and the principals every Tuesday.
And lots of children in it as well?
Yes, the full cast, we've got 84, I think, this year.
84?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I remember it being about 50-ish, so that's a really big cast this year then.
Yes, makes it very popular.
And Cinderella, obviously, we kind of know a little bit about that, but it's got the local references and stuff.
Yes, I always like to do a traditional pantomime as much as possible.
Tell us some of the names of the people who are in it, because, I've just seen some of the rehearsal there, and there's a few faces that I've seen before.
Yes, we've got some faces that have been in it for many years. We've got Kevin Page, Mick Lee, and we've got some new young blood in as well. Melody Parker, Cinderella, and we've got Lewis, who's a ugly sister as well. He's a new one. Nice to give everyone sort of like a chance as well. It's good.
Really great sparkly costumes as well. I mean, it's the first time I think I've seen a shell suit on stage in my life.
I'm sure it's not. Have you still got yours in the cupboard?
Might have, to be honest. You run from the 28th right the way through to the 2nd.
That's right, yes. They're all matinees. I think New Year's Day's slightly later at 4 o'clock for everyone to get over the New Year's Eve. And then we've got 2 shows on the Saturday, which is the 2nd, 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock.
And how much are tickets?
Bargain price. Children are $7.50, concessions are $8.50, and adults are $9.50.
So all for under £10, all the fun of the panto at Stamford at the Corn Exchange.
That's right, yes, you get a lot for your money.
Karen Parker, thanks very much for joining us. Break a leg for the... Well, you don't really break a leg, do you? Because you're directing, but, sit back and enjoy. That's when you hand it over to them,
That's
isn't it?
right, yes, it's all up to them, and I'm sure they're going to have lots of fun.
This is Rutland Radio.
So here we are on Christmas Day morning. I don't know whether you've worked out what you're going to do later entertainment-wise. Playing games charades, listening to Joseph this afternoon. Well, the Strictly Come Dancing Christmas special is on later. Winners from many of the shows, including our very own Deeping's finest Cassidy Little, back in the contest. Now, what a great opportunity to be in the People's Strictly, to win the People's Strictly with the Paso Doble, and now actually to be invited back. You must be, feel very privileged.
Well, I do, obviously. Very, very privileged. I kind of put Strictly Come Dancing behind me and said that was a great chapter, time to close it and move on to something else back in June. So you can imagine my surprise when I got the phone call saying, we'd love to know if you'd like to be a part of it. So naturally, because I love dancing with Natalie, I jumped at the opportunity.
Now, it is something that is a particular challenge to you because of your injury in Afghanistan. You've got one leg amputated below the knee. Paso Doble was probably a little bit more straightforward than what you're going to do actually later.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't like to use crutches, and I mean that literally and figuratively. So I do my best not to make excuses, but I do have a unique set of challenges that nobody else on Strictly has ever had before, which is to try and learn a dance, but try to adapt it to one leg, to being able to do it with one leg. So the Paso was, a lot more strong in its stance and a lot more kind of, chest out vibrato and, that kind of stuff. The biggest challenge with the Paso was balance, if anything. But then somebody went ahead and chose the jive for the Christmas special, which is all clicking and bouncing and being light on your feet, and just presents a whole new set of challenges for me, to be honest with you. You try and mimic what you think your body would have done before the injury. You know what I mean? I know that sounds strange, but and that's what I did. So we gave it a try, and at first it was a little bit difficult because there was a lot of bouncing on one leg, but in the end it worked out. We went out and we did a jive.
It really is quite a local TV show, this. Alison Hammond did Panto in Peterborough. Harry Judd went to Uppingham School. Robin Windsor, who came to do a dance class at Oakham Studios. Tom Chambers, I know, has local connections as well. This is a star-studded lineup. And, it's not totally about the winning, but it's about the performance. It's about putting on a great show for Christmas Day as well, isn't it?
Well, I think that's actually the most important thing. And I know that the other guys that were competing with me would say the same thing. This is the Christmas special. It's about Christmas. This isn't about being kept on for next week. This is about putting on the best show that we can for everybody on Christmas Day. And from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to love it.
What a great year you've had, not only with the people Strictly, but then on to all the film stuff that you do for BFBS and Forces TV. You met Tom Cruise. If you could see me here, I'm green with envy. He, of course, filmed at RAF Wittering. That amazing sequence. The DVD was out just a week or so ago. Amazing to see Stamford, to see Rutland Water. What did you ask him?
Tom Cruise has worked with the RAF a couple times, and he's got a lot of respect for the RAF. I mean, if you remember film The Edge of Tomorrow, there's a fantastic scene where, I've only seen the film once, but I think it's a Merlin that lands in Trafalgar Square, and then Tom Cruise kind of disembarks from the Merlin and goes into the offices. So he's worked with them before. To be, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but that stunt sequence is all done with him actually doing it and the RAF supporting them. So the RAF had a big hand in that. And so I asked him, I said, what is your opinion of the RAF? What are your feelings on the RAF now that you've worked with them a couple of times? And of course, he has nothing but, the utmost respect for the RAF. And in fact, he mentioned that he wanted to go flying with the Red Arrows. So it's good. All the film stuff is excellent and kind of culminated into a show I've got on BFBS, on Forces Television now. And I'm really lucky with some of the people that I get to speak to. I spoke with Steve Carell a few weeks ago about his new film. It's called The Big Short, I believe, which is an excellent movie. So I'm just really lucky with the way that this year has gone.
And how are you spending the rest of Christmas Day?
I will be spending it as family-orientated as humanly possible. I have a 17, 18-month-old daughter, and last year Christmas was just about trying to eat wrapping paper. This year is a little bit more bright lights and look at all the boxes and look at all the things. I think I'll run around screaming. So I think I'll spend as much of Christmas Day with my daughter and my wife.
Merry Christmas to you and the family. Cassidy Little, thanks very much for being on Rutland Radio this morning.
No, thank you, brother.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
It's Rutland Radio. It's Christmas Day morning. I don't know how big your turkey is if you're having one. Obviously, you'll need to get it on soon, or in the oven, or possibly in a vat of water injected from the inside. I don't quite know how this works, but Jamie Oliver has actually given Colin Furze, Stamford brilliant inventor, his seal of approval. Colin, explain a bit more exactly how this works. You've got this big contraption.
Yeah, well, Merry Christmas, Rutland.
Merry Christmas, yes. Merry Christmas, Colin. Thank you very much for sparing the time.
So basically, my theory is that turkey is quite a dry meat, and I don't really look forward to it that much. And I thought, well, is there any way we can solve that? So I thought, surely if I cook it by pumping boiling water into the centre of it and spinning it round and then using centrifugal force for the water to then get kind of, pushed into the turkey and then cooking it on its way through, surely that's not going to be a dry turkey, is it?
Did it fall apart at all?
Well, it depends how fast you spin it.
Right.
The machine does have the capability to destroy Christmas dinner as well as make it brilliant.
So, this looks like something out of a film. It really does.
Yeah, I've gone a bit steampunk with this one.
Yeah.
Stainless steel, brass, it's got like a trumpet horn and stuff on the top.
So how did Jamie Oliver get involved? Because, you can't get much more famous or credible than him, other than getting Mary Berry on the go.
It's a stroke of luck, really. They contacted me a few weeks previous and said, we like what you're doing on your YouTube channel. If you're doing anything with any food, Jamie would love to be involved. And I was like, I'm going to make this turkey spinner thing. So I kind of created it, said, I've got it ready. Do you want to come and test it out? He was like, sure, bring it down. And I think, obviously, when we were first there, he was kind of thinking, it's a bit of fun. It's probably not going to work and stuff like that. But come the end of it, he was actually generally impressed with it. And I could see him looking at it, when we weren't filming, thinking, how can we improve this just a little bit to put it in our restaurants? Because the only thing, of course, it doesn't give you that crisp roast turkey look. It can look a bit, strange when you do take it out. It tastes amazing, but you kind of have to glaze it yourself afterwards and kind of put that roasted look to it. So if I see him looking at it thinking, if you could just put the roasting bit on this, I think I'd buy one of them.
It's quite an incredible meeting of minds, isn't it?
Yeah, we got on quite well, actually. He's a nice bloke. He's exactly how you think he would be. He's a bit of a lad. We had a good laugh. It was good. I think he thought I was a bit strange, really, because I'm quite a fussy eater. So, he'd be constantly going, do you want a bit of this? And I'd be like, I'm not sure. That's got, sultanas in it, not keen on them. And he'd be laughing his head off, thinking, what on earth can I get this guy to eat? But there you are.
So how long does the turkey machine actually take to do your Christmas dinner then? If someone was going to try and... I mean, they're not going to have time to build one of these machines, are they, at this late stage?
No, it's probably a little bit late for the construction phase, but if you stick a reasonably... I suppose it's quite a small turkey. It's a very large chicken or a smallish turkey, and it takes about half an hour.
Half an hour, and you've got your Christmas dinner sorted?
Yeah, you can put your carrots in the bottom of all your veg because you've got the hot water. There's even like a little tray at the top where you can put your potatoes. It's like a Sunday roast machine, really.
So what are you eating later then for Christmas lunch? Is it going to be made in your machine?
Potentially. I think me and the missus might have a bit of a turkey off. She's going to do hers, I'm going to do mine, and then we'll offer it to our 3-year-old son because he's unbiased, you see.
Yeah, and of course, 3 years old is developing a very discerning palate, I'm sure.
Of course. Definitely. I mean, I hope he'll side with Daddy, but who knows?
Indeed. Have a brilliant Christmas day. Colin First, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Brilliant. Cheers, Rob.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So we've woken up in Stamford and Rutland to about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. Over the other side of the world, as you'd imagine, it's a bit warmer. To measure the temperature for us, we have none other than Ray Earl, celebrated resident of Stamford. Do you know, I'm waiting for my blue plaque. You must have yours by now.
I don't. I
Really?
don't think I'll ever get one. I might have to ring up English Heritage and find out what's going on.
I think you should,
with
yes. Well, morning or evening, or what time is it where you are?
Nearly 7 o'clock at night, Rob.
Right. And temperature?
It's 34 degrees. It's been the hottest Christmas day in Tasmania on record.
And we think we're having mild weather over here because we've got Boxing Day, highs of about 14 Celsius. 34.
Yeah, but tomorrow it's going to drop to about 19. So freakily, considering it's our summer, we're going to be in the same sort of temperature range with you tomorrow. But today it's 34 and it's vile. I hate it.
What do you mean, like humid or?
Just too hot. I mean, some people thrive in it, but it's too hot to do anything. Even the wind's hot. And as Mum says, can you hear it in the background, just joining in? And you're not allowed barbecues or any, like a fire barbecue, because it's a total fire ban because of the risk of bushfires. So it's intense, Rob. It's intense.
And how are you spending your Christmas? Is it Christmas yet, or are we on Christmas Eve still?
No, we're in the future.
Oh, right, okay, right, I understand.
Christmas night. I'm talking to you from the future, Rob.
Yes.
In so many ways. So it's Christmas night. So, but we've done the usual stuff. We've had a lovely organic turkey, didn't we? Yes, right. Mother. The only thing we didn't have is Brussels sprouts because it's not the season for them, and you can only get them frozen and they're horrible.
Brussels sprouts, can you get them through customs?
No. And when you've grown up in Rutland, you know you can only have the vegetables. You can't have second-rate ones when we've grown up in the finest vegetable county in the world. So, I can't be doing with frozen. So I'm afraid I've had to forsake the Brussels sprouts.
Well, Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thanks very much for listening all those miles away. I can't imagine how many miles it is.
It's 10,500. But, Rob, we wouldn't listen to anybody else. Rob Pisani is our chosen global radio choice.
Well, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Thanks for the call.
You too. Don't burn your dinner.
I won't burn the dinner. I'll barely get it started by the end of this morning, but there we go. We'll get it somehow. There's microwaves, isn't there? Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.